Morning, y'all. It's early. I actually got out here around 7 o'clock because the compost is coming today, and I needed to get out to be here for it. And it said anytime between 7 and 10, and usually it comes pretty early when I'm usually like one of the first people on the list. So I wanted to make sure I was out here on time. Left the kids at home to get ready for school on their own. Hopefully everything's going well. I do trust them. It's not that, but I definitely do a lot for them. And so I'm asking them to, sorry about the lens flare, asking them to do this morning. Gonna get a lot of little things, not necessarily little, done today out here. Like I said, the compost is coming. I need to finish the irrigation in the perennial beds. I need to start on replacing the pistons for the automatic opening vents. I need to build my trellis that I'm going to put sweet peas up. And we're going to start getting, or at least build the platform for the bees today as well. So it's going to be really busy. And the other thing I'm going to do is make a different video so I can go into explanation about, this is a potato, about making leaf mold biology, which I'm going to be doing today if I can find my bucket. Yes, there it is. And so I'll have a different video for you on that, just so you can understand what it is, why I'm doing it, and how it helps. And then the first thing I'm going to do this morning is, because it's early and it's a good time to do it, I'm going to give everything a fish emulsion treatment with my backpack sprayer. So I'm going to get that set up, get that done, and get moving on the rest of my job today. So this is my backpack sprayer. It literally is a backpack, not very comfortable. You definitely wouldn't want to wear this for a long time. This particular brand is Solo. It's the less expensive brand, but it works. You mix up your solution in here. You put the backpack on, and then you use this lever to power the spray that comes out of this nozzle. It works really well, and it actually really helps, even though it's heavy on the back, it really helps my elbows and wrists instead of dragging around the old pump one I had before. And this is Fish Emulsion. This is the brand that I use only because it's the most available here. It is a 411, so it's nitrogen, phosphate, and potash, but very low amounts. So it's great to apply as a foliar feed because it does feed the plants, but it doesn't overload them. So all you do is take off the lid. This is hard to do with one hand. Of course, I forgot my tripod. And then inside is a screen, which you should definitely use because otherwise this is what filters things so that they don't get clogged up behind your sprayer head. So I'm shaking up my fish emulsion, and this is about a tablespoon per gallon. So I'm going to put 4 tablespoons in here, roughly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and yes, I added it on top of the screen because even though this stuff is goopy and should be fairly free of anything that would clog it, this just guarantees that I won't clog it. So now I'm going to grab my hose, and so now I'm just filling the container. More compost. This is 4 yards. Smells amazing. I mean, if you like the smell of rotted compost, rotted manure, which I do. That is for these beds. First though, I need to come out here tomorrow morning with the string trimmer and knock down all these weeds that have grown up since we leveled this area. I've already started doing compost in that bed because it was ready. And then my friend and mentor, bee mentor Jamie, was out here just earlier, and we set up these posts. They're quick crated in. This is where the beehives are going to go. So once this all solidifies tomorrow, I will add the cross braces, and then later this week it'll be ready for the hive. And we're starting with 1, but I have enough for 2, and this can fit 3. So that we'll see what happens. It'd be awesome to offer some honey for sale as well, but that's not my main goal. My main goal is to raise bees. It is a warm day today. I'm already sweating. It's about noon, and I just watered everything, and I'm getting ready to, I used the string trimmer to knock down a whole bunch of crap, and I'm so paranoid because I'm worried that the poison hemlock that I've been really careful about, when I knock it down with the weed trimmer, it makes me nervous every time. I've been like holding my breath, waiting till the air dissipates a little bit when I hit one, and then moving on. But yeah, the last thing I want. But I'm covered in crap right now because I did a major, I think I was using the string trimmer for about half an hour. So now I'm about to go broad fork the new beds in preparation for putting the compost down on top of them. There's some weeds in there, and I'm hoping that the broad fork will help me break it up a little bit so that I can just kind of scoop those out. But I probably will end up having some weeds in that bed. I think I'm gonna bring my hoe out to get that one bed. I'm not gonna be able to get all this filled today anyway. So I think I'll bring my hoe out and try to hoe up the little bit that's left from after the string trimmer, knock down the majority of it, and see if I can get most of it out of the ground. And let me show you where the leaf mold biology is at this point. So if you watched the video that I posted, I think earlier this week, on leaf mold biology, this still looks the same. I am starting to see a little scum on the surface, which is what you kind of want. And I'm hoping in the next day or two, it's only been 2 days, so I'm hoping in the next day or two, I will start to see the foam that I expect. Last night got down to 38 degrees. So, you know, this, even though it's warm during the day, this will go a little bit slower than if it was super hot. Okay, so I'm gonna set you all up on a time lapse while I get to broad forking. Well, that was really no fun. It's really compacted. I was able to get the broad fork in some places, you know, 2 or 3 inches, which is great. But I would say the majority, like 3/4 of it, is so compacted that I could just scrape the surface. So what I'm seriously considering is renting a tiller, because I think that's going to be the only way to break this up enough so that when I put my compost on there, the roots or the plants will have a way to get down into the native soil. Otherwise they're going to hit, it's like hitting rock. So had I had this property 6 months ago, I would have come in here and let's say in the fall, and I would have done an occultation thing where I would have covered the whole thing in a silage tarp and left it for 6 months. And then I would have come back, taken off the tarp, everything would be dead, and composting underneath it, and the soil would be pretty soft. But I didn't have 6 months. I mean, I got this place in February, and so this has been my you know, sometimes when you start, even if you're going to be no-till all the time, sometimes when you're breaking new ground, tilling is required. So the only thing that bothers me about it is that there's going to be earthworms. There's so many earthworms in there. I've seen some, they're like this long, and every time I popped open a hole and some earthworms came out, I made sure I put them back in because I didn't want the sun to scorch them. So I know tilling is going to really disturb that, and that's where my issue is. So I'm going to see what I can find in terms of a very shallow till, you know, a lightweight machine that doesn't go real deep, and then we'll see what happens. But now I'm going to move on to another job. I think I'm going to start replacing the pistons in the greenhouse, even though it's 1,000 degrees in there right now. They're here. These beautiful ladies. They're here. We just unloaded the hive. They're going to take a couple days to orient. So what we're starting to see now is them doing figure eights outside around the hive. That helps them to reorient. So apparently when you set up a new hive, when you move a hive, it needs to be a minimum of 2 miles away, or they will return to their old hive. So this is 4.5 miles away from their old house. So what they need to do is train themselves that this is where their new place is. So they come out and they explore a little bit, but they do a lot of, they literally call it figure eight, swarming around the hive, which they can smell their own pheromones and they can smell the honey and the pollen in there. And then they go back and they do some, you know, foraging around, and then they come back. So they're going to keep checking in to make sure they know where they're at. It takes time to reset their inner GPS, but it's super exciting. So when we do our first hive dive, I'll film that. Right now, since we just relocated them, we're not going to disturb them by taking the lid off and checking them out in there or anything like that. We're going to let them get comfortable. And then in a couple of days, we will pop open the hive and we'll see what's going on in there. The other exciting thing is, Jamie just gave me a free tiller. He's laughing because he's like, this thing is 30 years old. He won't even take any money for it. I am super stoked. I am going to, because as you know, this ground, way too hard to broad fork. So for the first and only time, I'm going to till. So my plan today is to pull up the strings, because this tiller is a beast. It is not for fine-tuned work. So I'm going to pull up the strings. I'm going to spread a little bit of compost across the surface. I'm going to spread my elemental sulfur across the surface, and then I'm going to till the whole area. And then I'm going to restring the lines and lay down compost for the actual beds. That probably won't all happen today. I'm hoping to at least get the tilling done. But that is the plan. So I'm going to get out of my bee suit and I'm going to get started on this. It's nice and cool this morning. It's going to get hot, so I want to make sure that I get this part of the process done before it gets too bloody hot out here. And then I'm going to head home, and it's Saturday, so I want to spend some time with my family. Anyway, let's get going. Good gravy, that's a lot of hard work. And I haven't even started tilling yet. So what I did was I pulled up the strings. I just rolled them up because I'm gonna have to roll them back out so that I can form the edges for the bed, so when I place all the compost, it'll go in the right place. So I pulled up all the string, and just wound it up so that I can unwind it later. And then I spread out compost. It's just a really thin layer, as you can see, across the whole thing. I put elemental sulfur down across the whole thing. Sulfur is really low here in these soils, and we have high pH. So sulfur does two things. It's a essential nutrient for plants, and if they don't have it, they won't grow well. So adding elemental sulfur helps, adds that nutrition for the plant. Also, elemental sulfur is immediately available for the plants. It's bioavailable for them. Other forms of sulfur are not. They take a lot longer to break down. So elemental sulfur, and it also will lower the pH a little bit. pH here is not so bad. It's a 7. My home farm, it's an 8, which is really hard to deal with. But I added elemental sulfur to my home farm beds in the fall when I remade them, and the plants there now are growing really well. So much better than last year. So I think that, that's visual impact to me. Is the same thing that I see when I add sulfur to my azalea beds and the camellia beds, and they go from yellow to green. So I know it works. So anyway, since I was gonna have to make these beds anyway, I figured I might as well put the sulfur down. It'll lower the pH, not much. I might get lucky and get to a 6.8 or a 6.5, which is really good for flowers. So that's what I did. After I take a snack break, because I'm like shaky, I'm so hungry, I'm going to start the tiller. It is a beast. It's, Jamie showed me how to make it work, and he's like, you may have to hold it and drive. That's cool. I don't care. I am just so excited to have something to break that ground that isn't just my body weight, because that isn't working. Also, update on the Pistons. I have spent so much time trying to get these things to work. I know how to replace them, but the parts are so old that trying to get them apart, back together, all of the plastic washers that were on there have like shattered because they're from 2005. So I'm really struggling with that. I thought it was going to be an easy job. So I'm going to ask my husband to come out tomorrow and help me, because he's stronger than me. And so it just simple things, he might be able to do it with just brute strength. And we have a lot in here. So that's the challenge. So I'm going to take a break. Then we'll get back to tilling. Well, that's done. Oh, the job. Like Jamie said, the drive chain comes off a little bit, so you have to hold it in drive, so you can't use the handles, both handles, but that's okay. That ground was so hard that it's acted more like a tilther than a tiller. So I guess that's good. I mean, it went in probably about 2 inches. I guess I've got about 2 inches in. So that's fine, because I'm gonna put 2 inches of compost on top, and that gives the roots 4 inches to go, to move through, and it'll be under irrigation and everything, so that'll soften everything up too. So I think it's gonna be fine. Definitely better than what it would have been if I had not done that. So now I'm gonna restring everything, and then I'll see what's next. Oh, and the bees are already coming in to investigate the greenhouse, which is really cute. I have a little dish of water out for them. I need to get a couple more and place them around so that they can find the water. And then also I want to put tanglefoot, which is something that sticks the ants. They can't move once they get it. I need to put tanglefoot on the bottom of the posts over there, because the ants will smell that honey and they will swarm the hive and they can kill the bees. So I'm going to do that today. you can already kind of smell a little bit of honey in there. So I think they're actively producing. I want to make sure that they don't get hurt. Anyway, then I'm going to lay landscape fabric around the base. And I'll probably do that midday, which is when most of them are away from the hive, but I won't do that today because they're still finding their way. This one's flying around my face. It's probably a little thirsty. So that is my plan. I think I'm going to ask the family to come out with me tomorrow to help me out here with some of these various jobs because I need help. And especially I need like physical labor help. That's more than I can do myself, like trying to deal with those stupid pistons. So that is going to be my ask for them for tomorrow. So instead of going on a family hike, coming to the ranch to work. Probably not the kids' favorite thing, but they don't complain. They may not enjoy it, but they don't complain. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this vlog up here. I have a few more things to do out here today, but it's, just kind of routine stuff. So that you've seen before, watering, etc. So I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. And I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.